Hello, I'm Rangaroo,
And I'm Graham.
and here today with another 1v1 from the Wargame Bootcamp Discord
Hmm.
Elite Tournament. We are here on Hell in a very small place, and who do we have playing, Mr. Graham?
On the left-hand side here, we have General Boulanger once again playing as Scandinavia Mechanized. And then on the right, we have Nick the Man again playing as Entente Mechanized, which is really just Yugo Mech with like a sprinkling of Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, it's like having, sprinkles on top of like a very big, chunky, like chocolate cake. So you're
Right.
mostly just tasting the chocolate inside the cake, but the sprinkles makes you seem like you have some sort of extra flavor.
It accentuates it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
more for
I,
visual effect.
it's more for visual effects, yeah. Until the MiG-29 napalm bomber comes in, and then it feels very real.
Yeah. But yeah, off the bat here, we're seeing Boulanger push heavy into Golf. He's got the automatic, he's got the SCRVs, and a whole heap of infantry, even getting the Fallschirmjägers into the opposing village.
Yeah, that's a really nice move by him right there to get them in there. The only downside is that they're the recon Fallschirmjäger, so obviously there's no Eric's or anything like that. But they're still an effective force, dealing some damage right there as the command tries across the road. But the BVP M80 is just doing massive amounts of damage across the way with that M55.
Yep, and just also the two M84AN opener
Yeah.
is going to be absolutely deadly. Same thing, General Boulanger does have the two SCR 103Ds, so kind of an even matchup where you got stealth tanks versus rapid firing cannons. The SCRVs are pushing pretty hard out in the open and taking some fire.
Yeah, I think he's overextending the SCRVs right here. The M84AN recon opening can just be so effective in the hands of somebody like Nick the Man. And these SCRVs, they really, I just don't, at range, aren't going to stack that well, I think, against the M84.
Yeah, it's also the first shot capability that stealth does allow Nick
Right.
the Man to really pick his engagements, and also getting another M84, so going to be evening out the armor odds. We're seeing a little bit of infantry play from Boulanger through that like little forest north of Goth.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said there about the recon, it's the, on the surface, newer players might wonder, like, why? That's 90 points at 110. That M84 with the recon just gives it such an extra little edge in these types of engagements here. We do see General Boulanger continue to push up his Gervitman, which just gets smacked right there by the Proletary and the Czech sappers.
Yeah, just a very good amount of firepower, quite literally. Looking at the rest of the map, Foxtrot is actually very clearly under Boulanger's control, actually getting onto the opposing hill because there's really nothing to contest him, which is a pretty big play.
Yeah, that is a nice move there, especially if he can consolidate that position. His left flank from that spot is a little in the open, but Nick doesn't have a ton there. And it's also obvious that neither player is going to really do battle in Bravo because it really that's just a meat grinder. So I do prefer the Foxtrot golf pushes, and actually we already see the MiG-29 here, the with its napalm capabilities coming in hot here on the German. The automatic opening up and immediately sniping that MiG-29, and the Su-7 actually getting forced to evac there because the F-16 block coming in here was just going to hit. It might get a second. It does.
Wow!
Both planes going down there for Nick the Man.
Yeah, really good trade there from Boulanger. Automatic coming in absolutely hot, and the SU-7B completely cucked out of actually doing any seed attacks.
Yeah, and one thing, and so I'm going to learn from the last cast ring. So if people watch our videos, they'll remember that we saw Nick lose two T-72 BUs early in his last game where he casted, and it really didn't have that much of an effect on the actual course of the game. So I don't want to overdo it this time. But like, that's such a massive loss right there because I've seen him, overcome bigger trades of points, but that is a pretty hefty point loss there to start the game.
Yeah, I believe Boulanger did lose one STRV 103, and the other one is on one hit point, so he's taken a little bit of licking on his end. And he's also getting another automatic onto Foxtrot, more as a frontline fire support unit, knocking out some units quite quickly.
Yeah, it's I like the Foxtrot move. I'm a big fan of that, especially if you can get something with ATGM or a tank capability to fire down that reinforcement road from Echo and Alpha. That could be really critical for the future of the game because it is, they're both tied up. 44 points, with Nick, that really doesn't mean anything in these games. Rang that kind of lead. It's very rare that matters too much. So positioning is really important moving forward. and Boulanger, by forsaking Bravo, needs to make sure he has to make it count.
Yeah, and he's honestly in a pretty good position. I mean, Golf can be easily contested. Foxtrot is fairly, you know, completely under his control, but he hasn't consolidated quite well. And even in Bravo, I mean, you don't see it often, but you can still contest that point by playing hide and go seek in that big forest to the left point of Bravo. Instead, he's actually doing a little bit of reconnaissance action up north, and the Proletari are going to be bringing the Proletariat to those Stormers.
Yeah, they're definitely bringing them some of the people's justice right there in the forest. And I do agree with you. It's not often that we see, even at the highest level of this game, that players want to play the hide and seek game in the forest of Bravo. It just seems that instead of putting points there for me, and they would rather just invest it into Foxtrot and Golf and maybe completely take those two sectors versus trying to deny Bravo a lot of times.
Yeah. I really want to see Boulanger get... I mean, he's already got a decent force onto that Foxtrot hill, but if he's getting STRV 103, some ATGM infantry maybe, that's a huge play, because that allows you to relieve some pressure off Golf, because that's one of the main supply lines into Golf. That's like kind of a, domino effect.
Yeah, I also think here, Boulanger, you kind of see a typical, something that's kind of from his play, and when you shoot down that MiG-29, the Su-7 there, back-to-back instantly, you have a big point advantage. And you need to follow that up either through on-the-ground movements or by capping sectors. Instead, Boulanger just calls in more and more troops, which can be nice, but you're really giving Nick a chance to kind of even up the amount of points on the field against each other. Whereas I think that capping a sector now or a couple minutes ago could have been more beneficial than maybe a couple extra infantry units, because Nick doesn't have the ability to attack right now.
Yeah, I think Boulanger also just needs to invest a bit more on some long-range anti-tank options, because those M84s...
Both those transports dying from the drug right there, because they were right up next to each other. It's a 2-for-1, like Call of Duty. And both of them going down. No infantry surviving either. That's actually a nice little pick there for Nick.
Yeah, not bad at all. That was a pretty good drag position to shoot any reinforcements coming into Foxtrot. We got some Mechanovas leading the charge. There's, the CV coming in with its Bushmaster to provide some, well, if it does actually get close enough, some adequate fire support. So it seems like Nick is starting to invest a bit more heavy into reconsolidating Foxtrot. He's got the mortar firing, he's got an M84 coming in, a bunch of IFE infantry. So this is a pretty good push.
Yeah, the big thing, and I think why he focused Foxtrot there, is that it's hard for Boulanger with the SCRVs to really push the infantry out of that town, because the M84s really do lock it down. They typically get the first shot, and the 19 AP there is just so critical in those engagements with the recon, right? For being a recon take. And you see there one of the SRVs just basically instantly going down to the M84Ns.
Yeah. Just that first shot advantage. Even though the SCRV can shoot pretty bloody fast, it doesn't survive long enough if it gets ambushed by multiple M84s.
Yeah, if the M84 hits, especially two of them, they both hit the first shot, it's pretty much done from that point for the SCRV. So even the 15 rounds a minute for fire rate just doesn't matter. It needs to get the first engagement here. We do see Proletary coming in to storm the hill. There's just the CV 90 right there. They should be able to get... I mean, they do just have laws. And when Knight's micro right there by Boulanger back, it doesn't matter. It does.
Oh, no. Man's got the pick off, and then we've got the heavy armor, the M84 coming onto the hill. I mean, the automatic is still there, but it'll probably just get one-shotted by the M84, of course.
Yeah, also the BVP M80A is a pretty nasty IFE that can move up here. It's 20 mil, can just absolutely shred like most auto cannons in the game. It also does have the a nice little shitty ATGM, right? But it has an ATGM.
Yeah, it's kind of like a nice budget between a BMP-1 and 2, because you've got the cannon of the BMP-1, but the ATGM of the cannon of BMP-2 and the ATGM of the BMP-1. But the automatic does go down, so that's a pretty big loss, and Nick is pretty much consolidating that Foxtrot hill.
Yeah, and also he's bringing up Proletary in the BVP M96, which is an even nastier beast right here, because it does have the 30 mil as well, but it also has the Maltuka, the 2T, which has 26 AP. So it's kind of overkill, but...
the block blew up the tank. There's no more M84 on that hill, but Nick still has a whole heap of reinforcements, HC-40s, you've got the BVPs, and a whole bunch of infantry. Boulanger does have a few mortars in the back line, but well, they should be firing right now to try and just push off. But it's too late, Nick pretty much has the Foxtrot hill.
Yeah, and HC-40 is actually providing some really nice close-in fire support there as well, with the automatic being gone. And Nick should be able to probably clean this up here. Down south into Gulf, we do see the STRVs kind of shooting at the recon infantry in the forest there. But Nick, I think, might be gearing himself up to try and counterattack here Gulf pretty soon. We see flame infantry coming in, a commander coming out for Bravo. And that's just where I think there's a missed opportunity here, Rang, is that Nick, after all of this, is going to be the first one to cap another sector.
Yep. Boulanger's in a very good position to get some points, but alas, he's kind of just lost that momentum, which is a bit of a shame. I mean, Nick is moving down south of the M84s. Oh, actually going to be taking some Eric's fire at rather close range. This could be pretty big.
Yeah, the Eric's is just such a nasty ATGM right there. It has the short range, the 25 AP, and those M84s need to immediately back up because one, lost 5 HP right there, or 4 HP off the get-go from that Eric's, and the STRV kind of pushing up. But see, one more STRV right there would probably really be able to help him push that position. But even with just one against 2 M84s, it's quite not worth it. Not quite worth it.
Yeah, this is kind of a shame here for Boulanger because he has an opportunity to rush. Okay, there we go. He's got some live gardens pushing on up, and he's even using smoke to cover your advance, which is quite nice. Yeah. It's going to be pretty tight for him to get into that town, but just getting into that town is going to be rather important. M84s are warded off a bit for the time being because of Eric's, and Eric's is actually doing quite a good job just sniping a lot of these transports.
Yeah, it's an absolute monster. They really is. Anything with an Eric's, you have to really respect. When we see here that's held up this infantry push, it's done good damage as well. And Nick has to back up because you don't want to risk a 110-point tank against a 15-point, tank killing infantry unit.
Yeah, and Boulanger has got live gardens into the village, I should say. Yeah, they are shock infantry, I remember. So. Yep. That's gonna be a good defensive position. The problem though is long range anti-tank, because he does have the SCRV, but he's still not comfortable moving it too much into the front line because the M84s. Right. So the BVPs will be able to provide enough fire support to ward off Boulanger's infantry in that forest.
Yeah, the big thing that might become critical as this game goes on is the Powder Banshee 90 that have basically walked themselves all around the corner of the map to get into this backside here of Gulf. I would watch and see if a CV is called out and put into that area. Nick's going to be in a prime position to deal with it, or to just play havoc on the reinforcement line for General Boulanger.
Yeah.
Oh, massive air package coming out by Boulanger. 2 block. Wow, that's a ton of points into planes right here.
Fuck, that is.
Yeah, there go the bombs right there. It's like it's a broken arrow situation. It feels like just the raw amount of fire. Yeah, really, just the raw amount of firepower coming out here. Puff. Even a Puff as well. But the F1 F-16 going down to the Saba, the Puff going to get hit. Oh, no, it misses. No, the Puff goes down too.
No, it got out.
It got out.
So he only lost 1 F-16. But yeah, of course, with Entente, they are quite known for a pretty nasty, anti-aircraft net. So it didn't manage to kill the planes, but even knocking out 1 isn't too terrible.
No, I mean, it's a nice little chunk of points gone there. What does this block do? Oh, he's just providing some top cover. Let's say there's no need for it. But, yeah, and I mean, at this point, if you're Nick, right, a lot of players talk about, the shift in the planes versus AA. If Boulanger's going to put that many planes up, just buy a couple cheap AA pieces, put them on the field, and he should be pretty much good to go. Because if you're trading out expensive planes like that, it's just, it's from Savas, you're going to win the game.
Yeah, Nick has already invested quite a bit in more Saint Savas. And this is... I know, it feels really weird. Boulanger's done a pretty good job of map control and trying to push different locations. But right. Nick has this really nasty death ball, in between Foxtrot and Gulf with the BVPs, the infantry, and the M84s. Yeah, if he wants to push this somewhere, he can very easily topple either Foxtrot or Gulf.
Yeah, I think he's going to go and break the middle portion there. That's what it looks like he wants to do. A little bit of smoke to help the infantry get in there and get the BVPs on top of some of the other ones. But, I mean, the problem is he's going against Stormers. He's going against Carl Gustav anti-tank teams. There's Eric's anti-tank teams. So he needs some extra fire support, I think, to kind of push that infantry back and deal some damage to it.
Yeah. Oh, the SCRV engaging the M84.
Yeah, as we talked about right there, if it gets the first shot, and it did get the first shot and actually got the second one into it as well, but the other M84 was able to come in and dodge most of that Fighting Falcon bomb drop. They're only losing 1 HP, and it's still on comm, so he's pushing up forward here. Oh, but there's Stormers there. Carl Gustav's going out. Oh, only 1 AP.
Live Gardens.
Live Garden from the side. And there it goes. Yeah, massive picks.
Yeah, really good use of infantry anti-tank here. Of course, Boulanger is lacking in the long-range AT department, but with mechanized to get them close, shows Carl Gustav's, Eric's, whatever Scandi rocket launchers you wish to use, are pretty bloody effective.
Yeah, and then you see the Eric's right there just slamming into the infantry that was on top of the hill. Just like it's Ukraine, we're just launching ATGMs at infantry in the open right there. I mean, he got the job done, and so Nick seems like he's kind of reevaluating. I think what he wants to do here, Rang, because you can't suffer those kind of casualties 2 times in a row attacking that position. So he honestly, I don't know if he really think he needs to attack it right now. He has a lead. He's up 101 points already as we near the halfway mark. A shift further into Foxtrot might yield him a little more results.
Yeah, Boulanger really needs to invest in a CV somewhere, because it's getting to the point where almost halfway through the match, and a 100-point lead isn't too bad, but it's something you might, especially with the current map control, you might as well just spend the time and invest to stop it getting any worse.
Yeah, because even if he buys one now, we're looking at close to, even if he called one out now, right, we're talking about 130-ish when he stops it. Every minute he waits longer, you can just add a little more tick to that. And in these 1v1s, how competitive they are, 150 points, 200-point leads are pretty massive.
Yeah. As we usually know, once you get to like the last 10 minutes of a match, it's, it can be hard to get a +3 if you get into that position.
Right. Yeah, because you have to trade so well. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You got to trade really well. You got to do something crazy. These are 2 of the best players in the game, and it's sometimes hard to do that towards the end and really get like that ball rolling. So you really, I think, want to kind of stay even if you can. And Boulanger definitely could if you wanted to.
Yeah. But Nick still has that very deadly, death ball in the center. He still hasn't fully committed to it, of using it. I think he's going to be pushing into Foxtrot. He's moving back the BVPs. I think he's just going to capitulate, go for it, which is honestly a smart move.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't quite need it now, especially if he can get into Foxtrot. The air package has come out once again. He's bombing for the Pata Branchy there. And we actually finally see a leader or a CV being a leader. I thought we were talking about Steelovision for a second, being called out. And I believe that's going to Foxtrot for General Boulanger.
Yeah. Probably risks I'm thinking a minute he's going to risk to bring it into Go just because of his current push developing into Foxtrot. But considering the previous Pata Branchy cheese, he's probably trying to just hedge his bets.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Nick could transition, like you say. He has 2 M84 ANs. He has an M84A. He has a couple pieces of AA. He's now 5 BVPMs. He could break the front in Foxtrot. There's 1 automatic and some Live Garden.
Yeah. Once again, lack of ground-based AT is really going to hurt Boulanger if this engagement starts to get a bit hot.
Yes. Because if he puts that CV into Foxtrot, which is where it's going, I think, Rang, and it kind of lines up with the attack that Nick is clearly planning, losing the CV at this stage in the game could be catastrophic.
Yeah. That's just a whole heap of points, and, points which could be, STRVs. You've seen he's moving some of his M1 and 3s up for, reconnaissance by fire, and he's definitely spotted quite a nasty amount of firepower.
Yeah, and I think, I think the CV is going there because he's scared of the Pata Branchies in Golf.
Yep.
He knows that they're probably still there, so he's worried about it. But at the same time, it's kind of lining up well, I think, here for Nick. We see an M84 command tank coming out. He's got a ball of armor, essentially, that he can deploy wherever he wants to. The Proletary 90 are pushing up here. I'm really curious to see, actually, how this attack goes.
Mm-hmm. I think also Nick might be a little bit scared of, the air power package which can come. And of course he does have a better anti-aircraft net now with more salvers. But he's going to have to be quite smart with how he maneuvers his tanks, spreading them out, because those cluster bombs, especially against BVPs, will just annihilate.
Yeah, he a Cub M4 for the backline, which is an excellent AA piece at 75 points with the 9HE. It has that really high, obviously, crit chance to one-shot planes. And with the Savas, too, you mix them in together, and that can be a very potent air defense network, excuse me.
Boulanger is really just investing more into... Oh, it got another CV out, so
yeah.
I think he's going to bring it into Golf to get that +1 tick, which he desperately needs at this point in the match. But apart from that, it's mainly just, light recon tanks and more infantry. Oh, here comes the air package.
Here comes the air package here, and it's a big one as well. So to look and see for radars here, there's a puff in the back line. This is going to fly right over the Savas. There goes the first Cub shot out on the Block 15 with the Rock Eyes. It hits. One goes down. More missiles flying out. Another F-16 was hit. It's kind of chaos here. Puff misses first shot on the Cub and second shot on the Cub.
He gets shot down.
And then he gets shot down. So he loses 2 planes, and one goes down to 3 HP. Heavy losses for the Scandinavian Air Force right there.
That's a lot of attrition you can't really be affording to take. I mean, he has a decent amount of aircraft left still, but, it's just going to get smaller and smaller, and, it's like a herd of bison. The smaller it gets, the easier it is for the predators to pick them off.
Right, and I think here we see the armor push is kind of starting to get itself together. The M84 is going to come in here and countercap Foxtrot, re-giving Nick the tick here, as we see some proletariat mode. Livguard in the open as well. HG40s plus BVPs. Oh, and those Livguard just get caught right in the open ring.
Absolutely annihilated by autocannons. This is just a really scary package.
Avert your eyes. If autocannons trigger you, please don't look. This SCRV pushing up as well. Fire computer is just dead. Instantly, it's just dead.
Yeah, not the best push right you have from that lone tank. This is just an ordinate amount of firepower.
No, and it's going in the Rockeye. F-16 is dead. I believe the other one was forced with low HP. These BVMPs honestly could just push right down and break the front.
Yeah, Boulanger kind of played his hand a little bit with that preemptive airstrike, because now Nick Demand knows, I can push up in a big blob and don't have to worry about getting rock-eyed.
Absolutely. He sees the automatic right there actually being used for the ground attack role instead of the planes. And that might be a giant sign to him that, hey, if the automatic is that up close and personal, there might not be anything else. And we see it, the armor's pushing down the hill here. BVMP's automatic getting hit down to 1 HP. He's desperately trying to shoot back. He's able to back it up there. There we see M84's pushing down as well here. Livgarden just getting shredded once again.
Yeah, and all Boulanger's infantry are pretty much just in a position to get picked off one by one.
Yeah, all the Danish boys in the chat, please avert your eyes. It's getting brutal right now. And then there goes the Scout Defender as well. And this armor is just going to push down here with the Flame Infantry with it. I don't think that Boulanger can stop this push.
Yeah, he's getting an STLV 103. Oh, he's getting 2 STLV 103s.
Honestly, this is kind of like a Steel Division move here. Like, you just see it's a death ball. It's pushing forward there. Some other armored vehicle just went down. I don't even know what it was. Livguard and caught in the open.
They can't even get their crawl boost up. Boulanger's trying to go up the hill.
Yeah, Boulanger committing right here. M41's up in the front. Had a Branchy 90 shooting up, but the HG40 is going to go ahead and stun all that as it tries to come up the hill here.
Automatic's not in position.
He's just eating it there, and I don't think he can take... Oh, and I think GG was called.
Yeah, it was the GG indeed, and Nick Demand taking the victory. So, oh yeah, we probably should have clarified that these were like the final matches of the tournament. This is where we're calling them the best players. But essentially, what has happened here is the second match. I believe it's meant to be best out of 5. But Boulanger pretty much tapped out after this match. So Nick Demand is actually the Elite Tournament champion after this one. So congratulations.
Yes, big congrats to Nick Demand there. And really decisive push. Like we talked about a little bit earlier, Rang. Wargame, even more so than Steel Division, timing matters. And I think that when when Boulanger took out the 2 planes, and it's kind of similar to the last game, you have to capitalize on that, because if you give someone like Nick the time to reorganize his defenses, you're playing with fire. And in the end, with such a big lead in terms of like on the field units, Nick's actually the first one to get the point tick going again, and then he's the one that makes in the end the decisive move.
Yeah, and that was an extremely decisive move with that like death ball of angry Yugoslav armor. Well, for Boulanger in both matches, he honestly he was in positions in both matches where he could have like really got maybe not like a full-on victory, but really lead to charge. In the previous one, it was after he sniped 2 like super heavy tanks, like 300 points in 5 seconds, and in this one it was just kind of the map control. But it feels like in this replay, he just bet wrong in investing heavy in air power when he should have been investing in ground-based AT to contest the Yugoslavs in that way, because he couldn't he just let that death ball build up, and then it just smashed his lines when he could have been spending points on ground-based AT to defend that line.
Yeah, and then he preempted the push, and so by opening the air package early and basically, like you said, playing his hand, he told Nick everything he needed to know about what was in front of him. You can't have that many planes in a 1v1 at that stage of the game and also be strong in both positions on the ground. And Nick realized that everything was in golf, it wasn't in foxtrot. And even in the counterattack, I know he left right there, but the counterattack was falling apart too. So
no, it's a shame he did tap out of the tournament early, because he played like he was doing pretty good in both matches, but he just lost it at some point, and Nick the man, masterfully, just capturing the momentum, and got
absolutely
a victory both times. But yeah, I mean, good job to both players. This was honestly some, I mean, this is an elite tournament for a reason.
The elite.
The replays have been bloody fantastic all around.
Yeah, some excellent games, two amazing players, and it's been an absolute blast to cast them. We need to get some more Wargame tournaments going. The people there need to get on it.
Indeed. But once again, Graham, thank you very much for joining.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for the people at home. You, I'm talking to you on the other end of the YouTube channel screen for watching this as well. And as usual, please just take it easy.